All right, the next group we have here, we got three great gentlemen. I'm going to start way over here on my left and work my way towards me. We got Dave Adams, Apprentice Coordinator, former instructor. He is a social media guru, so he's probably got a bunch of funny memes out there at the DCTC. He started in the masonry trade with his father-in-law, and we're going to get back to you in just a second. Jim O'Connor. Jimmy is one of our partners at the specmix Bricklayer 500 every year, and it's so good to have you here. Jim, you are a light, my brother. He's the director of the MCAGA. It's the local Chicago Mason Contractors Association. And this guy's just too much. And Jim, we appreciate you being here.
Love being here.
And then Tom Vacala, he is the Vice President of Operations at Restore Masonry. And Tom and Jim and Dave, it is really great to have you here. And anything goes as far as we're concerned right now, but I heard that there was a really funny story about you with scaffolding that I want to hear just to kick things off. And as long as nobody got hurt, right?
No.
Okay.
So I got into masonry.
Yes. We can't say masonry, right?
No,
don't ever
don't.
say that.
It's nails on a chalkboard.
If anybody says masonry, you kick them off the job site right then and there.
Yeah. You can tell their tools are clean, their boots are clean, they've never laid a brick.
Mom always said if you come home from playing baseball and you're not dirty, you didn't play baseball. So yeah, I got it.
So I got into the business because I met a girl.
Okay.
I was in sales, I wound up helping him close a big deal for his company, and he's like, you just got to work for me full time. And coming from the sales industry, wearing a tie and shoes, and I show up to work, and he's just like, what the hell are you wearing? You better. So I went to the store, bought some boots, got some jeans, and we roll out in a blizzard to this nice house with a 7 jumps of scaffolding. Built, stocked, or just ready to be torn down. And he drops the truck off, and he's like, okay, tear it down. I'll be back in 2 hours. It better be on the truck. And I'm like, and it's like a blizzard. You can't see your hand in front of your face, wind's howling. I climb up this thing, no idea what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, I wound up just taking all the pieces and just launching them into the snow, right? just off the top, load the truck. He comes back, he's like, oh, I was just kidding. I didn't think you were going to get it done. That was my introduction to the life of masonry.
How old were you, Dave?
I was 24. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I mean, when you think about it.
Get rid of that girl.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah. Never went out with Dave again after that.
No, I married her.
So, did you really?
I did. 5 kids, 3 grandkids later.
Wow. How long y'all been married?
30 years, coming up on 31.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Jimmy, when did you should have married that girl?
Jimmy, when did you get started?
I started. I worked in a brickyard. My dad was a salesman for Beck Face Brick, and I worked in the brickyard, unloading boxcars and repalleting all the brick.
Okay.
And it was hot and it was tough, and it was great because I remember I worked Monday through Friday, and then I worked half day on Saturday. And then when I got to high school, my dad got me a job laboring for actual bricklayer mason contractors, and I labored for 8.5 summers, 8 or 9 summers with different mason contractors. Sometimes, I think only a couple times I went back to back, 'cause I think my dad gave the brick away to get me a job. I'm not sure, but it was great. I met a lot of people, and I was going to be a bricklayer. I was all set to go to the school.
Yeah.
And I played some high school football, and my dad said, well, you love football. Why don't you go play a couple years of football in college, see if you like it.
What was easier, laying brick or hitting some linebacker?
Laboring was really hard, and football was a lot more fun.
Yeah.
So then I went to school, and I was getting beat up playing football, and I said, well, as long as I'm here, I'm not going pro. I better get an education. So I finished up school, and I came out, and I sold for about 5 years, travel, and a couple of the guys that were on the board I labored for, they said there was an opening at this job, and 36 years ago they hired me to run their organization, which has been the greatest thing for me and my family. So
that's awesome. Tom, what about you? When did you get started? I mean, you're in restoration now, Restore Masonry, right?
Yeah, we do masonry restoration. So I've been doing it since I was a kid. I come from a family of 11 kids, 8 boys, 3 girls. I'm the
Wow.
youngest. So
Did you go scramble for mashed potatoes at dinner time?
yeah. It was good stuff. It was always a party in our house with everybody.
Gracious.
But my older brothers, my uncle came in from Ireland. He was a bricklayer. He got my older brother started in the industry, and I was cheap labor for them. So I was laboring at probably 8 years old.
9 years old, yeah.
So I got pictures of myself mixing mortar in a wheelbarrow at probably 8 years old. And I'm sure they still owe me money from back then on those jobs. But anyhow, so I used to, when my two older brothers, Pat started a business and he did new construction, and Larry started a business doing restoration.
Okay.
So they both went separate ways, but in our industry. So I ended up working for my brother Larry back in grammar school, grammar school and into high school on weekends, and even in summer break, I would work full time for him. And he did residential. We did residential restoration. But I remember driving the truck and picking up brick at the yard that Jimmy's dad was selling us.
You were still 8 years old then, driving the truck?
Funny story, yeah. So it was true. I didn't have my driver's license before I was driving the trucks because
He's sitting on bricks.
some of the guys were coming in and they were still a little bit drunk from the night before, so they couldn't drive the vehicles. So I drove vehicles without having my driver's license, and it all worked out well though. But we figured it out.
That's funny.
So I've been in the industry my entire life. This is all I know. I love it.
Do dads just do that? My dad was a chef, and at 8 and 9, I'm washing pots and washing dishes. He's laying brick.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm schlepping them.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's
And he's
kinda
taking
crazy.
scrabble down.
Yeah.
This is pretty
It's
funny.
a family affair.
It sure-
I'm not saying it. Although we got nice reverb in here, it might not sound too bad. So, Dave, what are your thoughts right now? I mean, you've been to the SpecMix Bricklayer 500 so many times, and you see the industry grown over the years. Where do you think we are right now within the industry? I mean, bricklayers, block layers, restoration, masonry. There's a lot of things going on. What goes through your head right now when people start talking about the industry?
I think that we are in a transformative state in two ways.
Okay.
There are more products that are coming out that we are adhering to and learning about and teaching in our school. I'm an instructor at the District Council Training Center for the bricklayers and allied craft workers, and we've been training on products since 1865. We as a union made a blunder back when drywall came out. Our plasters said, nah, we don't want to install it, and we gave it to the carpenters. And we've never made that mistake again. So future forward, any products that do come out, we're on it. We learn it, we teach it, we know it. Not to say that we're not continuing our past rich history of the masonry industry. We have old buildings out there that are being transformed. So you'll take an old commercial building that's transformed into luxury apartments. So it's kind of the best of the old, and you need that ability to do that type of work, plus the new materials that are being adapted to it. So
Is that where the restoration comes in for
our
stuff
restoration
like that?
side.
Yeah.
So our bricklayers now have to be even more knowledgeable on past history practice and future forward practice.
The training center is incredible. Dave does a great job with Stan. Stan is amazing as well, but it's a good team, and we get some. I do travel out of state and do some consulting and just get to meet other people as well that are in our industry.
Right.
And there's a lot of really skilled individuals out there, but in Chicago, coming out of the training center, I've seen some of the top guys that I would consider mechanics.
Okay.
Because they could do a little bit of everything, and they're really, really good. And Dave does a great job bringing fresh guys into our industry, but not babying them, which is so important, because you get guys that would come out to the field and you're like, oh, you would hear the old tale that you're a union guy, so you're going to work half the amount, that a normal guy would work, and you're still getting paid a whole lot of money. That's not the case.
I've worked very hard to change that.
They beat them up quite a bit, and they show them what our industry is made up of, and it's a tough industry. We say masonry strong.
Right.
When it comes with MCAA, that's one of our big you know, phrases that we use, and it's true.
If they make it through pre-job, they can make it in the field. Otherwise, we're going to cut them in pre-job.
Tell them how you start off with when they come in.
Oh, well, so coming in straight out the gate, they're carrying block day one to get it's cardio, it's physical, it's mental. To get beyond that thought of if you carry 2 38-pound blocks from here to there, okay, I did that. Now you're going to go farther. Now you're going to go farther. You're going to push yourself, and get beyond that wall of disbelief. And then you realize, okay, I can do that. And then now their body tears down a bit. 3 days later, they're even stronger. And we help them realize their inner strength and then work on their skills. So it's completely life-changing opportunities for these apprentices as they go through this program.
And Jimmy, you're a Chicago boy. I know you see all this as far as what's going on. I mean, it's a tough road right there for these guys.
I'm thrilled that I've been to many of the training centers. We have the best training center in the country. The only one that is better is the national one that's in Maryland. And the reason is because contractors and labor got together and discussed what we needed, and we merged. There were like 5 different schools. We merged into one school. It took a while. We had one downtown and then this one, but we merged it to one school and put all of our money and all of our energy and all of our people into one place so we could build the best school in the country to send out the kids to where they could get a job. And initially, Lake County didn't like it. Some of the counties didn't like it because they had to travel more. But once they saw the results, everybody's thrilled. And they do a great job of keeping people in there. And our contractors have to do a better job of taking those guys, because if nobody hires them, they're going to go get another job. And sometimes it's the competition. It could be to a non-union outfit. It could be going, even if it's going to another profession. It's hurt us because we've spent time and effort training them, and you have somebody that can produce. So, we have to get contractors to understand that their future is a lot of these apprentices and get them hired. So that's a goal I think we all work at.
Yeah.
Kind of a follow-up. The percentage of people that will stay in this program and keep going, it's got to be pretty high then, because to me it seems like not only is it's a future, but they like what they're doing. They like working with their hands. So you probably retain a lot of these kids, these folks that are getting into these programs. Anybody can answer that. I don't care who answers that one.
Well, once they make it through, it's about a 65% retention rate, but we tried to do a lot of hard cutting early on to eliminate the failures. So, and that starts with, if we're at a career fair, I'm going to let them know that this will be the hardest job in the room, but it will be the most transformative. You will be exercising for a living. Not just your body, but your mind. You're going to get really good at math, or you're not going to make it, and you're going to be able to do a substantial amount of work to a high quality standard. We're going to hold you to the highest level of standard. The speed will come, and you collectively then can transform the industry.
A lot of folks talk about the history, and we go back, and we go as far back as the pyramids, and the Parthenon and things like that, and the amazing things that we see in history that were built. And you think about the integrity and the pride that were done, and they're standing today. There's not a mark on them, and they're absolutely amazing. And this is something that they're a part of. And when it comes to restoration masonry, there's something that needs to be done. These guys come in, and preserve those beautiful pieces, and that's a big part of the industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we get a chance to, as many buildings as I've worked on myself and our crew have taken apart and exposed. So the nice thing about our industry in restoration, we get to see how things were done wrong, because we've seen through time how steel failed, or different types of bond patterns fail, or projections have failed, because we're in Chicago, so it's freestyle climate. So it's very different than a lot of other states, but other states with humidity will still have the same type of problem.
So you're breaking this stuff down to the bone.
Sure.
Yeah, and we get to expose
similar materials that expand and contract at different rates, and you have to allow for that movement, expansion, and contraction.
We get to learn. Our bricklayers and our tuck pointers, our masons, our mechanics, I call them, when we get to open up a building and they see how it was done back in the day, which is really, they've done some great stuff back in the day, but they've had some bad designs, so we would fix that. And then reinstalling it, our bricklayers are probably some of the best bricklayers that we have out there. And it comes to also being perfectionist, because when we're restoring a lot of these historical buildings, if they're landmark, type of buildings where they're historical buildings and they're listed as historical buildings, there's a certain guidelines. They are very strict.
It's got to be on point.
It's got to be on point. You can't cut corners. There's certain mortars you have to use, but you have to understand masonry. You have to understand mortar. You have to understand brick. You have to understand all the culture and the way it's made and designed and how it's made to perform.
When you do that and you're restoring something like that, do you go back and go, I'm going to mix my mortar the way they did and restore it that way? Or are there some modern touches that kind of give it a little bit more solidification, I guess? I'm not sure of the word. How is that actually done?
So I would say I'm going to rely on the architect to see how they want to design it first and foremost.
Okay, so they'll have a say-so in all
Most
of that.
of them, yeah. We have really good architects that are involved. And then I would also look to Landmark as well. Those are my first go-tos to see how they want to design it. If I feel like it may be designed wrong, there's not enough thought put into it, or I see something that they might not see, then it's my chance to bring that up and talk to them about that. But that design is very important, and how, the different types of mortars, the old brick, and how we're going to reuse the old brick, or we're going to change it with a new brick to match the old brick, and how is that going to work? Because if they're made differently and one's a hard brick and one is a soft brick, it's just going to move differently. And if you're using different type O mortar it's a whole different world to understand and learn. But that's why I love restoration. Okay. It's not cut and dry for me. No. New construction, I love it too, and I'm not putting down new construction, but there's an aspect of it's kind of cut and dry. We don't know what we're getting into until we start opening it up.
Yeah. Now, Jim and Dave, you have to have contractors and workers that maybe work with some of that restoration, and so he might be getting some of the best from your group to work on that. So they're not just learning what's new, and they have to know a little bit more and how to work with that stuff as well. So that's quite an education that's being offered there.
Yeah.
100%.
They do. Go ahead.
No, and you can move from there. I mean, that's the best thing about it. A bricklayer can go into sales and selling brick and selling mortar and selling, because he understands the industry. He can go into safety. He can go into being a superintendent or being a foreman. He can go into estimating. He can start his own company. And the average person with brick thinks there's red and there's that. They don't really know, but just look behind us and you can see all the different colors, samples. There's also different thicknesses and how hard they are and how they respond in certain cases. And that's what the architect is looking at and is being advised by both sides. And I think it's great that we're here in Chicago because of the Chicago fire. After the Chicago fire, our construction changed a lot. There was a hell of a lot more brick being put in, and there still is, and it's a standard because of what we went through. And hopefully, the rest of the country can learn from that and do exactly what we're doing.
And it's a shame. You brought up a great point. I've told both of you guys about my structural masonry bill that I'm trying to push that would have a more stringent fire code by using block as a backup, kind of the way we did it before. Structurally, you're giving the bones of the building, you're eliminating a lot of the steel and using masonry headers in place of that, so you're not getting that expansion contraction. An I-beam that's 100 feet long will grow or expand and contract up to an inch in a 10-degree weather swing. Imagine what that can do to masonry when it's tied together. So if we eliminate that, go back to the way that it used to be built, or improve upon it as we've been doing, you're going to get a building that's fire resistant, that's tornado resistant, that's ballistics resistant.
Well, I mean,
bulletproof.
Bulletproof.
Chicago.
Ballistics.
Bulletproof.
I mean, you've heard talk lately, probably like the last 5-10 years. We don't want wood. We want brick. We want block. We want something that is more structural, that is more sound. And I think more people are beginning to realize that now.
Why do we have to have a house on fire?
Yeah.
We don't ever have to have a house on fire. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and it's funny, but it's as simple as that. Just saying, we don't need to have a house on fire.
Right.
But how do you do that? How do you all of a sudden say, we can now grow forests. We don't need wood anymore. That's a tough road to hoe right there.
But that's why there's organizations out there trying to do that. You know, the beautyofblock.com, gobrick.com, the Masonry Advisory Council.org. People that you can turn to and understand the differences of the building products that are out there, and make a choice. You know, make a choice for yourself.
Well, let me ask you this, Tom, since you're doing the restoration, if you come across something like that might have wood or whatever, is that an opportunity for you to, like, you know, we can put block in here and preserve this a little bit longer. We can put brick here and maybe it'll preserve this building a little bit longer. Is that possible, or it's like, no, you're bound by those guidelines?
Sure, if there's an opportunity for us to add a product in, we'll do that, or we'll reach out to Jim and have Jim help us on selling that. You know, and Jim will reach out and put everything together. He's our liaison for that type of information, or also, you know, going back into the union hall. Right. If guys are pulled out of the union hall and we're working them and they're journeymen, they don't have to go back to school for anything. They've learned it all. So now they're considered journeymen, and they're still learning every day. We all learn. But once we slow down and it's wintertime, Jim is always sending out emails. Hey, they're offering this class coming up for welding. They're offering this class for whatever it might be for painting, you know, or terracotta, or any type of rain screen installation, things like that come up. So when we're slow, because this is Chicago in the wintertime, and guys are sitting at home, instead of sitting at home, sharpen your pencil, clean your tools, come in and sharpen your brain and learn some more, you know, build your resume. And that's what they're offering.
You're going to have some time in Chicago in the wintertime, so yeah, why not?
And the school keeps credit for everybody and what you've been trained on.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for a job and you send them your card that says, I've got welding, I've got rain screen, I've got, you know, block certification. Well, who are you going to hire? The guy that has nothing?
Yeah.
And it's important for restoration.
And he's got these three.
Yeah.
Well, let's take this kid because he's shown he is interested in the industry.
We have a historic preservation class that's offered to journey level workers, right? They have to have at least 5 years in the field just to take this class, to make sure they have the sufficient skills to then move on to this class. And then I know a lot of your guys that's something that they need just to be on the job site.
Oh, yeah.
I would just love to watch a TV show on that, because you know, when they do stuff like how it's made and things like that, and then to actually get into some of those homes and they're restoring it, it is fascinating to see what they do and how they do it.
On a smaller scale, you see it on TV.
Yeah.
In real life, you go on a larger scale, a big job, and it's all you're doing is just breaking that down, that big thing, into smaller scales.
Tom, instead of how it's made, how it's laid.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, that'll go over real well.
Yeah.
You know, you had mentioned kids before, Jimmy, and we had Jeff Buckowitz from the MCAA in here, and it's really important. You know, we talk about workforce development, we talk about kids, we talk about, you know, those first, second, and third year apprentices and everything moving forward. And I'd love to hear from each of you on this. What would you like to see moving forward within some of those programs? And, you know, how things are being done, what can they learn, how can they learn at trades, whatever. I just want to get your thoughts. Dave, I'm going to start with you. Workforce development, the kids, first, second, and third year, whatever comes to your mind, what do you want to see for the future of this industry?
So, well, for workforce development on a whole, last year we went out to 80 different schools and sat with these kids one-on-one to open their eyes to what the possibilities are. And then as far as the physical training, we would like to have the opportunity to have, I could put on 5 classes a year. Right now we're doing 2, and we have been doing, for the last maybe 10 years, it's been 2 classes. I would like more work out there to send these kids to. We're in a busy hub, but one of the things Jim was saying earlier, I believe, is we do a lot of CPS schoolwork, and that work is cut off come school time.
Okay.
We as industry professionals could still operate those jobs while school's in session if we could work with the contractor in the cities and say, hey, we are professionals, but you can close off this wing, you guys can be in session, we can keep the work going. The problem is, I'll get an apprentice geared up, going, he'll hit the summertime, and all of a sudden August comes, they go back to school, and there's not enough work to sustain them through the wintertime, and we could lose that individual for the following year.
So they set up these things called critical schedules that you have to end. You can't be on the job. They're worried about safety or whatever the teachers are worried about. But we deal in emergencies all the time. where you go in and fix stuff. You just corner it off the area and keep people out of there. But we could keep our tradesmen working longer instead of putting 60 guys on and busting over, you know, Monday through Sunday. You could go Monday through Friday, extend that schedule a little bit, keep people longer, train more apprentices, keep them on the wall, and a steady flow of work instead of just piling it all on in that short period of time. And it's not just our trade. So, you know, we're trying to reach out to the other trades and say, you know, join us on this. And it's not really getting a whole lot of legs. But, you know, we're going to keep banging, and if we could get something like that done, I think it would be really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, but I also would workforce development in general, younger generations as they're coming into our industry, and people that are in our industry that maybe are in a bit of a cloud. They're in here, they're doing the work, it's just day to day, but they're not looking deeper into what we do. You know, we have an opportunity to really build a career. It's not a job, it's a career. You can have a really good life in our industry, and you can provide for your family. And I know as a father, you always want, your job is to help the next generation to get better. So we have that opportunity right here. And for me, I wasn't designed to go into sit into a classroom for 8 hours a day and retain everything and be school smart to go be a lawyer, doctor, you know, whatever it might be. That wasn't me. I would, you know, I'd be looking out the window, or I'd be figuring out how I can cheat just to get through this thing so I can go work on the weekends for my brother and not get yelled at because I got an F from my dad or whatever it was. So, but that's how I was designed. So coming out and seeing and having the lifestyle that I have now and the life that I have was from this industry. It's a great life. And that opportunity is out there for everybody. And I just think that next generation needs to look deeper into what there is out there for them, but also look at their history, look at their parents, and understand that what they went through to get here. And if you were to go back and ask them why they did what they did, they would say it's for their kids. And then you ask them, why are you doing what you do? It's for their kids. We're doing it for our kids to have a better opportunity. We have it now. Yeah. It's there. It's sitting right there at the class for us to take.
Here's what's crazy. He's too modest.
Realize it.
He's too modest to say this, but he may have never gone to college, but now he teaches contractor college to over 2,000 kids. I'm sure you've already trained in masonry, in different stages, in estimating and understanding how to bid.
And I hated school.
Blueprint reading. He hated school.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you,
the same way.
He has entertained and kept people. I've been to his classes. He has entertained and kept their vision on the site of what they're supposed to be getting done. So, you know, in different ways, this thing has reached out and grabbed him, and now he's sharing it with so many other people, making their lives better, including all of us.
I'm not good. I was not good at school either. I'm a visual learner. You know, books and everything didn't good. Well, I'm in math class. I'm in high school, and it's trigonometry, and I flunked the first semester of trigonometry. And I was like, oh my God. My dad was just off the charts in math. Now, he was a chef, okay? He was a chef. Everything up here, amazing with numbers. I just didn't get it. So I was in the back of the classroom. Maybe I was talking too much. Teacher goes, I want you to sit up right in front of my desk. Like, all right, fine. Well, I realized he grades papers right in front of me, okay? So this is what I do. As he's doing it, and doing, you know, the right and the right, getting all the answers and everything, I get the answers, but I don't do it. I go backwards and I try to figure. So I reversed the trigonometry to figure out how he got it, and I learned that because I could see how he was doing it and looked at others. It was the most amazing thing, and I just realized that, oh crap, this is what I need. I need something more visual, more on the creative side. College didn't work for me. I mean, it didn't work for one of my daughters. I got one son that went to college. Another one just started trade school. My oldest daughter is a nurse. I mean, they obviously didn't get it from me. But a lot of people are like that. And my question is, I think that we talk about more of the trade versus the college. People are talking about I don't want those loans. I don't want to, there's so many trade opportunities out there for me, and it's becoming more and more prevalent to everybody, like, hey, this is really what I can do. Maybe I am that visual guy, my hands-on guy. And then maybe down the road, maybe you learn a little bit and you become a guy like this who has so much knowledge, he becomes the master versus the pupil.
Exactly.
Well, we say, like, we talk, I mentioned at one of your classes that when they were coming out of the class, they have a graduation, which is really cool. And then if there's a company, like we are hiring someone, so I went there with some of our gear to, you know, give them some gear and everything, and it was a cool moment. But just getting them out of there and bringing them into the world, what I told them, which is important, is you could come out of that class, go work for a company, and be a pretty good bricklayer or a good tuck pointer, whatever you're going to do, labor, and get a job. And then when season slows down, you might have to sit. But if you take this industry and take your job, what you're doing as a career, and you know it's a career, and then you look at your body like an athlete, and if I'm a Kobe Bryant or I'm a Michael Jordan, this is Chicago, so Michael Jordan, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to train harder when no one else is. When everyone's sleeping, I'm going to train. When we're done training, I'm going to go eat right, or I'm going to constantly do what I need to do as an athlete, because you are. Your body's your tool.
It's true.
And then if you get so good, you're not sitting in the wintertime. A company is afraid to lose you. And that's what's important. That's what our industry really needs. People need to understand it's a career, but you have to treat your body like an athlete, but you have to have a mindset like a Michael Jordan to go out and be the best. And then you have a great career. The opportunity is just sitting there. You have the skill, you learn the skill. Now you just got to take it seriously.
No, I'm glad he's not passionate. Otherwise, we'd be.
I love. That's why we talk a little bit. But
But I mean, I think it's true. I mean, you know, we've talked before about it, and I know we've touched on it. But you know, with all the schools that you have all across the country, and I think that's great, is the consistency of the teaching as well, which is critical. So everybody learns the same thing, and it's all good. It's all the right way. It's all done the right way. We teach you the right way. We guide you. And that's really important too. You have to have good teachers, good mentors, good folks at the top of the food chain right there who can do that. I mean, and that's critical. If you don't have that, then you're going to go down a path that maybe you shouldn't go down.
Hey, I'm so dumb it takes me an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. But
wait, it only took him 30 minutes for his first joke.
He's not lying.
Wow,
that
Jim.
was not even a joke.
what joke? What are you talking about?
Oh my God.
But I knew to go to class when I was in college. I knew you got to go to class because you're not going to be able to play football if you flunk. So I never missed a class, and I took good notes, and thank God somehow I got through it.
And Jimmy's a class act, and and I'm not lying. I'm being serious. And he's been friends of our family and I'm sure
day one.
Most contractors probably say the same thing as I'm saying, is that he's a friend of our family. Not of our company or helping us, he's a friend of our family because he does a lot for our industry. And his dad did as well, so he's leaving a legacy for sure.
Well, let's talk about that. Generational, how many generations you go back?
Oh,
His dad was a carpenter.
my dad was a carpenter.
Okay.
Yeah, so
We still talk
first
to him.
generation.
First generation.
Yeah, my uncle is the one that came from Ireland.
Okay. Was there anybody back in Ireland? No? First time? Jimmy, how about you?
My dad came over here and he was delivering milk.
Okay.
And he was delivering milk to a guy's house who owned a brick company. And he was always there, and the guy says, hey, you're delivering milk, you're on time, you're always here. I think you can make a lot more money delivering brick. It's a little heavier, but if you want, and he needed it. We had 3 kids then, and I ended up with 5. But so he went on and he started delivering brick, and he was delivering off a brick truck with the brick tongs, 10, 20 at a time. And he was so popular that everybody loved him. The guy said, I think I can make more money you selling brick than driving a truck anymore. Would you do that? And he bought him a car, and my dad started selling brick, and he sold to everybody. He was the #1 Belden seller in the country and Endicott in the country. It was just amazing. He had a wonderful personality and just a really, really good guy. And, Larry got his first deal from him. He said, I'm sorry, Mr. O'Connor, I can't pay you right now. And he said, you don't worry about it. I'll take care of my boss. We'll take care of it, And that's how they met. And then years later, I don't think Larry even knew I had anything to do with it, but Larry joined the organization. And over time, he goes, I think I know your dad. And sure enough, and my dad was, you know, that's the one thing. It's great to wake up every morning thinking your dad's the greatest in the world. I don't know how anybody else, you know, could be raised thinking any other way. So I got to give everybody a break because you don't know what they went through. But I know every day I woke up, I knew who the boss was and I knew who I really looked up to.
Same.
And that, but look at where we are.
Yeah.
There's a reason somebody helped. And you know, there's other people that make it without it, but it's really it greased the skids for us. Yeah. Because I know your dad. He was amazing. He was a carpenter with 11 kids. Are you kidding me? That's a lot of nails you got to hammer to take care of them. And
Dave, what about you?
My grandfather was a stonemason and a Boilermaker. My father was a carpenter, and my father-in-law was a bricklayer.
Okay.
So then now my son-in-law is also a bricklayer.
Wow. So we got, the future's looking good. We got some first generation folks here, and we're working for the kids. We're trying to do what we can for them as well, and paving the way with bricks for their future, which is important.
And thanks for what you guys do too to get the word out. This is important too.
Well, you know, I mean, we're trying. When I first did this, I was just a guy with a megaphone talking about guys building brick walls, and I didn't know one thing. And in 25 years, I've made the best friends. I wish these guys were my neighbors. I wish I could get the wife to move up to Wisconsin, Chicago, Minnesota, something.
Not Chicago.
She wanted to, but she wanted to, but you said you were coming. Yeah.
Well, that's two.
Oh, that wasn't a joke either. Who's your buddy? Who's your pal?
There it is.
Jimbo.
Thank you, Jimmy. It wouldn't. You can't end a podcast without Jimmy doing that. But I mean, it's great, and I've learned so much over the years and met some amazing people like you guys and Nick, who's over there with specmix from behind the camera, and I've learned about the industry. I've witnessed the passion and talked with the people who have so many generations and the future and everything. And I'm blown away, and I'm kind of glad that you know my two boys did the trade stuff. You know, they're doing that, and I like it. It's not brick, but it's a trade. It's not a college. They went to a trade school to do that kind of stuff. It's not for everybody, you know?
And speaking of specmix, because they do so much for the industry.
They do.
I want you guys to understand that when I was laboring, they always put the youngest laborer on to make the mortar. Yeah. And you're shoveling, and they give you 20 shovels of sand, a bag, you know, put 2 bags of mortar and a bag of lime, whatever it might be. But if it was busy and you have 20 bricklayers, you're busting your butt. And you know you got another batch to go, you maybe throw 2 or 3 more shovels of sand in there. Well, if you do that, that doesn't make the mortar stronger. It changes the color. Yeah. So maybe it makes sense to have specmix bring their mix out so it's a consistent mortar, it's the right color, it's the right texture.
Right.
And it's got the strength to hold up the brick. It doesn't have a 15-year-old throwing extra sand in there.
And this is why we don't need commercials, because we have one right here.
I mean, this
really
happened. And so when specmix was starting to grow,
you'll get the bill.
When specmix was starting to grow, I was involved in this, and I said, boy, this makes sense, because I'm sure that some of those colors are not the same in the buildings that I worked on. So and then you know that. This thing is just blown up.
But then we get a job to go restore those buildings. So it all worked out.
So I've been helping them their whole lives.
It all worked out.
Because I'm a giver. I'm a giver, Tom.
Well, we're going to close the book on that one right there. Guys, thanks so much. Dave, Jim, and Tom. This is awesome. This has been great. But we're more. Just stay tuned for more, because we got so many industry professionals that we're going to be talking to. Restoration, training, bricklayers, masons, owners. There's going to be so many different things that we're going to be talking about. You do not want to miss any episode of what we're doing right here. So guys, thanks again. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you at the SpecMix Bricklayer 500. Yeah. Jimmy, thank you. Dave, appreciate it. All right, we'll see you at the SpecMix Bricklayer 500 too. Just go to SpecMix Bricklayer 500. Just type it in Google, and you know what will come up? A picture of this guy.
You can't miss it. I'm so glad we had this time together.